Okay, we are live. So, good afternoon to all. We are just starting the stream for the episode 8 of Netdata Office Hours. So, giving a couple of minutes before we will start. So, we are not even on time yet. So, just bear with us for a while. Yeah, I think it's even nobody's connected yet. So, yeah, it's okay. Okay, we seem to be having people joining, so um, thanks for being with us for these office hours. Let me start with the introduction. So this is going to be about the main topic about Netdata versus Prometheus. So going through a deep dive performance analysis that we did between the two systems, the two products, and we'll also share some details about the upcoming changes on our plans. Also, a kind of a heads up: we are trying to switch our streaming tool. So this is the first attempt to use a new one. We hope to be having more quality in the streaming of our videos. So we know the feedback that we got was not the best. So hopefully we are moving in the better direction. It's still not perfect, but hopefully it's going to be much better than the previous one. So probably without further ado, let me just quickly share the screen to share with you the agenda, and then I can pass the word to Costa that will guide us through the main topic. So sharing the screen. I'll also drop on the we'll drop on the stream chat the link to the presentation. So if you want to go through it, also you can follow it. And let me just ask Fotis that is on the background to share that. Without further ado, so the topics for today, as usual, it's the introduction of what we are going to do, the spotlight, open slot for questions. Also, feel free to ask questions during the presentation. And in the end, we end up with the questions and feedback that were raised by the community and that we gathered from the forum, from Discord, from where we are looking to these things. So as mentioned, the spotlight topics, the main one, Netdata versus Prometheus, the performance analysis, and then the upcoming Netdata Plan changes. So Costa, do you want to pick it up from here, or you want me to start with the slides? You cannot hear you, Costa. Or is it me? I cannot hear Costa.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
think you
now I
can.
can. Yes. Now I can.
Okay, my microphone somehow disconnected. Okay, so through the presentation, guys, I'm not going to read the slides, Hugo. I'm going to show it live. So I have the setup that we were showcasing there. I have it live here. So I'm going to share my screen and show it to you as it runs. Of course, we changed the setup a bit. So anyway, that's a minor thing. We are testing this, the stress test environment that we have. So guys, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please on the chat, write it, and I'll stop and try to answer whatever is your question. So let me share my screen. Entire screen. Share. I think you have it.
Yeah, you're live, Costa.
I will just keep the stream here so that they can see it. Hide this. So, as described in the blog that we posted, we have a setup where we have about 500 Netdata agents, 493 to be precise. All of them streaming, all of them collecting, in total, I think 40,000 containers or something like that, with a total of 2.7 million metrics. Now we have two VMs. One VM is Prometheus that scrapes all these 500 Netdata agents to collect all the metrics. And at the same time, we have a Netdata parent that receives metrics from these 500 Netdata agents via streaming. Now, I'm going to show you, this server, the Mega, is the server that hosts both these VMs. Actually, now it hosts a couple more, but this is valid still. The test is valid still. So I go to containers and VMs. We are interested about the parent 3 and Prometheus. These are the two VMs that are testing. Parent 2, we started because we need to test some other features of that we change on streaming. So currently, the setup is like follows. We changed it a bit. So the parent 2 receives everything from the children because we needed to test these features on parent 2, but it restreams everything to parent 3. Parent 2 also runs a mail and everything, so it has the same load as parent 3, but with all the features, health and everything enabled. Health, ML, everything. Now I will go here. Here we have the CPU usage. So I'm going to group this chart. This is a Proxmox server. I'm going to group everything by instance. Now we have 5 groups, the VMs that are running. I am going to select Prometheus and the parent 3 that we were interested. I'm going to turn this into a line chart. This is 2 days, the last 2 days. And here, because we have 2 dimensions, we also need to turn this to sum, because otherwise it's the average between user and system. So if we go here and see the 2 groups, of course, are these 2. So we can see here the difference. You see that the CPU utilization of Prometheus ranges, let's say, from 678 to 861. Of course, if we zoom in, so if I zoom in, wait a moment, it's not good.
We lost Costa. Let me try to ping him. Hey, Costa?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, the microphone went off for a while.
Somehow something disconnects. If I move it, it disconnects. Okay, sorry for that, guys. So the idea is that if you zoom in, as I said, this spikes quite big, quite a lot. Netdata not that much. It spikes too, because there are containers going up and down all the time. So if I switch back to 2 days, you can see here that the difference, guys, the chart is not based on 0. Actually, there was a comment on some social media that we manipulated the charts or something. No, there is no such thing. Just that the data charts don't have 0, don't show 0, so that you can see the detail. If 0 was present here, these 2 lines would be just flat lines at the top. So it's not that Prometheus is 5 times slower than Netdata, or 10 times slower than Netdata. It's just that the chart starts at 400, let's say. Okay? So the difference is here. So as we said, Netdata is on the average. We cannot visualize this here, but the average. But if you get the response from the JSON response has this information, so we got the averages from the JSON response that Netdata calculated. So the idea here is that Netdata is about, as you see, all things being equal, it is 35% less CPU intensive, requires less CPU resources than Prometheus. Now, if we go to memory is not good here because it's the total VM. So if I group the, where is it? Memory usage, this. If I group this and Prometheus and this, you are going to see that it is, sorry, some to see groups, some yes, only RAM. What's happening here? What did I do wrong? Here I swap. So if I switch this to line, so you see, but these are VMs that have 100 gigabytes RAM. So this fluctuates a bit. I don't know why, but it fluctuates just a bit, and it fluctuates. Prometheus fluctuates, but I don't know why. Generally, both VMs use 100 gigs. But if we go within each, so I have here the parent 3. This is the lab parent 3 that runs Netdata, and here is Netdata installed together with Prometheus. So here we can see the last 2 days. This is Prometheus. I have selected only, this is from apps plugin, TimeDB. And yes, we can see here how this fluctuates across time. And we can have the same from the Netdata, the parent that gets all this traffic. So you can see here that this is the memory. The data memory grows slightly. This is just tiny things, a few megabytes, but grows still because it keeps growing in retention. It's not stable. It's not rotating. It rotates only tier 0 and 1. Tier 2 still growing. So some metadata, containers started and stopped. So this is growing a bit, but it's tiny. So from here to there is how much? 200 megabytes or something in 2 days. And this is the private, and this is with shared memory. Now, I did moments ago some queries, so Netdata mounted some stuff. This is why we have this increase. But anyway, for ingestion, we can understand that this is the standard practice. Now, let's go to disk and network. Let's go back to Mega. We can see here on the network, this is the bandwidth. Let's again do the same thing by network interface. We have Prometheus and parent 3. Let's switch this to line chart and let's do sum. It is sum. Okay. Now again, you can see that Netdata uses, this was 12%, if I remember correctly, the average. Now, the point here is, again, guys, the presentation, as I said before, is about, 0 is not shown here. So these lines, if 0 was presented, these 2 lines would be very close together, and we will not be able to see this fluctuation. The bandwidth, I have to tell you that we added ZSTD to Netdata a week ago, I think a week ago. And this was the primary reason, because we were before ZSTD with LZ4, we were just above Prometheus. So when we realized that, we said, okay, wait a moment, let's fix that. And we added ZSTD, which improved the situation by 15%, let's say. So we are 12% ahead now. The next is disk. So I will go to the disks. Each of the 2 VMs, the Prometheus and Netdata, have dedicated disks. So I have here, let's do the same here by instance. I want, if I remember correctly, STD is Prometheus and ZD16 is Netdata. We have 2 dimensions, so let's select first reads, and let's switch to line. So now, as you can see, Prometheus does quite some work here on the reads. It spikes, I guess it spikes quite much. So if I go here, we can see it is 160, almost 160. If I go back to 2 days, then we have, guys, let me close my Slack. Good. Okay, so 160 or something is over here. Netdata is occasionally doing some reads, as you can see, ZT16, occasionally doing some reads, not that much. If we switch to writes, now you can see here Netdata. Let's do the same for, we can zoom. So let's switch back to reads and show Netdata reads. These are Netdata reads. This is when I run the queries. So this is the reads. Here it is 1 megabyte. Tiny stuff here and there, nothing important. And this is Prometheus. So obviously Prometheus has, and it's obvious here from the writes, Prometheus has a write-ahead log, so it continuously writes all the time, never stops. This is because it has this write-ahead log. And then from time to time, it has to repack everything and commit and all this kind of stuff. So this is why it does so intense reads and writes. If we do them combined, if we put both dimensions together, this is the net. So as you see, Prometheus is almost always above 100 megabytes per second on this SSD, almost always. And the data is just 2 to 3. It has some more than 3. Where? 3. Let me do this. Here, 3.7. So why this happens? Netdata has a different policy for data loss, potential data loss. So if this Netdata crashes, then the next time the children connect to it, they will negotiate the retention that they have, and they will replicate to the parent all the metrics, the data that the parent is missing. At the same time, as we have for parent 2, for example, this is 3, as I told you before. This is 3. 2 is a proxy, so it receives the metrics and restreams them to 3. So this and restreams them with compression, because we needed to test the compression also here. This is why parent 3 is quite bigger. So if you check with everything enabled, I think to containers and VMs, and if I put here parent 2, sorry, that has everything open, you will see that it is steady at 15 cores. But this runs ML, health, and restreaming compression. Okay? So it's 3 times, almost 4 times more than the one that just receives and stores.
Actually, just one thing, a question from the chat. So Lewis is asking if this ZSTD compression, do the users need to make any changes to the existing installs to start using this new compression?
This is very easy, guys. No, you don't need to do anything. So let me go to GitHub Netdata. So if you go streaming, I'm trying to find streamconf. Streamconf, where is it? Where is it? Here it is. So in streamconf, we added, let me zoom. Okay, here. So in streamconf, at the top of the stream section, we have added here the following. Where it is? And compression. It's on the parent side, sorry. On the parent side, we have added this. This is compression algorithms order. Now, in order to verify that you have ZSTD, let me show you also this. So let me switch this to a bigger thing, profile recording. Okay. So if you do here, Netdata, minus W by build info. Now, if you do build info, you're going to see what compressions are available in your Netdata. Now, in this case, my Netdata has broadly ZSTD, LZ4, and gzip. All of them should have LZ4, but current version should have also all of them. Or if broadly probably is not there. So we did the test with broadly. The CPU utilization of that thing is although the compression is good, the CPU utilization is unmanageable. So this is not the first. The sequence is here. So you can reorder them if you want. This is the default. If you have ZSTD, ZSTD will be used. If you don't have ZSTD, LZ4 will be used. If you don't have LZ4, broadly will be used. And then gzip is always there. The data always have gzip because it's required for the web server. You cannot build it otherwise. If you want the best compression, we have a few users that have said, okay, what compression is the best, etc. At the expense of CPU utilization, put gzip first. So that's the idea. If you want the best compression, just gzip first in this thing, uncomment it, remove the hash, put the gzip first, and you're done for best compression. But this has more CPU utilization. ZSTD, we found that is the best balance. The fastest in terms of CPU, the less CPU is LZ4 still. But a good balance between CPU and compression is ZSTD. So ZSTD is today the default in a data. So no, you don't have to do anything specific as long as your build has ZSTD. So let's go back here. Now, let's remove the parent2 here. Okay. Now, the interesting part is that if you go in CPU, for example, if you go and say, hey, give me the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes or something. There's nothing here. So I am trying to find something happened here. I don't know what happened. Probably a child was restarted. There are sometimes there are dives in here. We restarted Mega because we can show you also, there is some trust issue about the charts that we publish that they are fake or something. Well, they are not fake. And today we added also functions here. So these are new functions. We are going to have them tomorrow, guys. These are merged. We added 3 functions here, containers and VMs. It shows you all the containers and VMs that the system knows, together with some snapshot about the CPU utilization, the RAM they use, the received and sent traffic, including disk I/O. This is logical. This is this is about what the C groups know. In our case, these are zeros, mainly because these VMs have dedicated disks. They don't pass through C groups, this information. So we added also systemd services. You can show here all the systemd services and, again, based on C group information. And we have added also systemd units. So this is a list of all the units together with statuses. So you hide this. Together with statuses at the end. And we colored the stuff that deserve your attention, etc. Anyway, these are the new stuff that you're going to have tomorrow. Going back to the overview, I think we were here. I was trying to figure out if we have somewhere. So this is some, and the 2 ones that we want, this and line. So I was trying to figure out if we have, let me spot something on the last 6 hours. I'm going to say dive anywhere. So I don't see any dives. Probably I can see it at the network. Let me check if the network is better to spot this. I can spot it from the mean. Wait. Let's go here, mean. So these guys are over time. This thing controls what happens over time. So every point here, you see that it is 82 seconds, the viewpoint, 82 seconds. So within these 82 seconds, we select with this aggregation what we want to see, the minimum, the average, the maximum, etc. The good thing is that these four work on all tiers. Even if you work with tier 2, tier 1, they still work and they are accurate. The others, you need tier 0. For the others, you need to have access to high resolution data. Now, and this aggregates the dimensions. So based on the grouping that you do, so you say per instance. So this means that there are 2 dimensions per instance. So the sum aggregates the 2, aggregates users and system. It sums them. If I put here average, it averages. The chart didn't change shape, but the y-axis changed. So with the minimum now, I can spot here a problem. Okay? So I can zoom here and see, for example, let's go average again. I can see, for example, that during this period, you see, Prometheus had an issue for 10 seconds. There may be similar, let's go back to minimum. Let's go to a day. And you can see that there are quite some durations. So here, for example, it seems pretty frequent. You see it? Very frequently, Prometheus doesn't actually use all the CPU, and this probably means that it doesn't scrape all the agents. We can see the same from the bandwidth. So if I go to the bandwidth again by interface, we have to do something for this thing to remember the settings, because it's very stupid to select them all the time again and again. This line. So you can see this is average now, but you can see, you see here, it almost went very low. So on the same duration, on the same time frame that the CPU was showing this, network also affected. So meaning that the things were not transferred. Now, this probably means that internally in Prometheus, there are some conditions that prevent it from working like a bit. In Netdata, we did a lot of work to eliminate these conditions. So if you go to Netdata here, and I go to Netdata monitoring, now you can see on the queries, for example, here on the API, you can see that it is like a bit, you know, it's very, this is very, the top of the graph, it's flat. Just click on it to zoom it and see the little variations that exist. This is how many metrics are being saved to tier 0. How many points are added to tier 0. And if we go to streaming, so here, sort max, here we have how many jobs set is the set dimensional value, begin a chart, end is end the chart. So usually it's begin set end. This is how it works. You see that there are 2.6 million metrics collected, about a million, more than a million charts, and of course matching ends. Okay? And here you can see actually the time used for everything. So in order for us to achieve this kind of steady operation that is, you know, it's constant, it doesn't fluctuate, we had to change the way in the internals of DB engine to spread them over time. This can be seen in this thing, in the DB engine, in the query router. In the query router, no, in the query router, wait a moment, where it was, in the main cache, I think, yes. Now here in the main cache, we have this add hot. This is every time a new page is created inside DB engine. And we did everything in our power to spread them across time. The spikes you see is every minute, and it is the tier 1. If every hour, no, this is actually, yes, it's every minute and every hour there are additional spikes for the tier 1 and tier 2. But the whole point was here to not allocate a lot of memory at once. So if you try to do a 1 million allocations or 2.7 million allocations at once here, the system cannot do it. There is no way to do it. So the only way for us to overcome this and achieve better performance was to spread them across time. So there is a mechanism there that starts the page small. So for each page, it decides when it would be its anniversary. And then it tries at initialization time to spread them so that the anniversary of reallocation is spread across time and across metrics. It seems that Prometheus doesn't do that. So somehow there are some points in time that it faces difficulties and it cannot do it. For us now, if we didn't do this, Netdata would show holes in the gaps in the charts. So we don't have, we don't interpolate at visualization. We interpolate at collection to actually smooth the micro latencies, let's say, that exist in our systems. So we expected something to be collected 50 milliseconds after the second, but it's now collected at 60 milliseconds. Okay, we interpolate that. So we absorb these little micro latencies during data collection, but we don't interpolate, we don't fill gaps during presentation. Unlike what Prometheus and Grafana are doing. So usually for Prometheus and Grafana, if you have a point here and a point there, it doesn't matter how much time is between, the line will be connected. But not for Netdata. So for us, it was crucial to keep the pace. Other than that, I think for retention, I think I can show you probably, I can show you from the article, not to redo all the calculations. Wait a moment, blog. So another important thing, let me zoom. Okay. Another important thing that is that we found out, and actually we didn't expect it either, is that the bytes per point in the data is below one byte per point on disk. This is this calculation. So you see that Netdata has this kind of retention. So it into 1.5 terabytes and managed to fit almost 10 days. Initially, when we wrote this article, we had Prometheus working. Actually, I think we say this here. We had Prometheus configured for 7 days of retention. But guess what? It filled up the 3 terabytes that the 4 terabytes disk that has. So we had to change it and put 3 terabytes of storage. So I don't know what it has now for a retention. But the whole point here is that Netdata is way below 1 byte per sample. I know that Prometheus has another mode with compression, or I don't know how they call it, to give you 1.3. So this 2 point something can become 1.3. But this means even more CPU utilization for Prometheus, because they will have to compress everything. In a data, actually, I don't know if Vasil is watching this office hours. We have a PR that we also add Gorilla compression to Netdata. Prometheus is using Gorilla compression. So we add, where's Gorilla? Gorilla. So we have this to add Gorilla compression. This is almost finished. Oh, there are some conflicts because we added some stuff. This is almost finished. You see that the guys are working still to verify, to test it. The whole point with Gorilla compression is that it is a special compression for time series. Actually, you XOR and you pack the numbers if they are in a time series. You pack them in a special way. This has been developed by Facebook. According to the first results that we have is that we can lower Netdata memory even more. So we can, Vasilis is talking about half. I don't believe that it's going to be half, but I want to see it. But the whole point is to lower the memory requirements of Netdata even more. The good thing with Gorilla is that it's not that heavy computationally. So the incremental of the compression of this Gorilla compression is not that important. This, however, will change the format that we have on disk. So once we merge this and we have Gorilla compression Netdata, and you install the new version of Netdata, you will not be able to go back. So the data on disk will be Gorilla. So this is why we're trying to certify that this is okay to be merged. I hope that this will be merged this month also. Now, let's go back to the article. So that was a surprise even for us. The disk I/O we talked, and what else is here that is interesting? So the VMs are similar on the same hardware. So the numbers are accurate, guys. If you want to ask specific questions about why this or that, or if this is true or not, because some things are too good to be true. Netdata in the same retention managed to have 1 year and a half of data, of course, per hour here. But come on, compared to this, it's obvious. So I think that for this, the design of Netdata helped us. It was not easy to achieve, and I think that the design of for Prometheus to achieve this kind of performance, they have to redesign several stuff of what they do. But anyway, obviously, guys, Prometheus is a great tool and very valuable tool, and actually is the standard, let's say, of a time series database in this world. But I think we are very good too, and given this retention, I would prefer to have my data in Netdata, to tell you the truth. So that's it, guys. That's the presentation. If you don't have any questions, I don't see any questions here. So let me stop the sharing.
So probably just give 1 or 2 more minutes to see if there's anything. Otherwise, we can move to the next topic. Seems we can go. So let me bring this to the screen. So the other topic that we want to introduce is that we have upcoming Netdata Plan changes. So our current community plan, or the future community plan, will be introducing some limitations. So for any new signups that will come after these changes are implemented, the users will still have the full features that they have on the current community, but they will be limited to having 5 active nodes and 1 custom dashboard active per room. Anybody signing in will start with a 30-day free trial with a business plan, so they will have the experience of the full features that we have on our highest tier plan. And then once they are downgraded, they will go immediately to the community. Um, Together with this, we also simplifying the cloud subscription. So we will be keeping only the business plan. We don't distinguish it between business and pro. And of course, we'll be engaging the current pro users to support them on migrating to the business plan. Uh, and I think that's it. We are doing this. We continue to look for ways to make this infrastructure monitoring a reality for team and organizations of all sizes. And the community plan is more targeted for home lab users or very small enterprises or even small non-profit organizations. So any kind of a business or enterprise should be using like the business plan, which will have the current features and
Wait a
will
moment,
come.
Hugo. This is very important. The community plan, guys, unlocks all features on the agent. So the functions, etc., with the community plan, they work. Our goal here is the open source software to be fully functional without cloud. Eh? And there is a discussion about even this. We use Netdata Cloud for SSO to protect the functions, mainly because the functions have sensitive, they have logs, they have stuff, and we plan to add also a lot of actions there. So thinking, not doing yet, but thinking with the functions, we have the ability, for example, to say, hey, restart this service, reboot this server, do this, change something on the system, do actions on the system. So the whole point is that for this to be implemented, we plan to release several versions of Netdata that are gonna be breaking changes versus the previous ones, the current ones. Like, for example, SSL as a standard, TLS as a standard, everything. So no socket without TLS. Now, the SSO, the Data Cloud SSO, we decided to be always available. I remind you that the UI of the agent and the UI of Netdata Cloud are the same. And on a parent, you can have all the features of the cloud, everything that exists, that the cloud offers, is there on a parent. By allowing on the community plan to be for free an SSO for all your agents, we simplify actually all the mechanics that would be required for you to secure Netdata agents and the likes. And with the release that we're going to make, so TLS everywhere, etc., the goal is to have a totally secure environment without exposing any of your data. Just parent nodes and SSO, and this is it. No exposure whatsoever of your data to Netdata Cloud. Of all the other features of Netdata Cloud, so access from anywhere, dispatch of centralized alerts. Now we're releasing a mobile app. I hope we're going to have it this month too, a mobile app for alerts and notifications, so that you're going to receive notifications on your mobile or your mobile phone, etc. All these features are moved to the paid plan. Okay.
Yeah, good call out, Costa. Yeah, thanks for adding that. So, and also to share another kind of update on our plans on our pricing page, we introduced the pricing that we have for the enterprise on-prem. So we've been having several iterations with customers that are already deploying this and trying out this offering, and we kind of worked out the correct pricing or the most kind of suitable pricing, let's say, for these cases. And we think we are very competitive here. We have like the 3 node per month in a build annually, and we also have the kind of licensing per installation cost that we have. It's like $900 per month. So we are very competitive here. So if this is also a solution that interests you, feel free to reach out to us. And of course, as more nodes are connected or you are monitoring more nodes, volume discounts will apply, and it's of course something we'll consider for you. So in terms of the plan changes, we have a blog post speaking about this. The target date is the 8th of November, so next week. So feel free to reach out with questions or feedback or anything that you might have, and we'll gladly reply anything that comes. So now is the slot for any questions, any feedback, any comments anybody might have. Chat is quiet, but yeah, some nice feedback. So this is, I think it's worth sharing. So thanks, David. Glad you're enjoying it. So some love on the chat. So probably I can move to the end section. So this is just a scraping of some existing questions and feedback that we saw on the community channel. So there was a user asking for a way for an alarm to trigger when a chart never reaches zero over 24 hours period. So as mentioned, it's a Netdata instance chart that should never reach zero for the last 24 hours. And the user started doing this with a lookup definition, just with mean minus 1 day of upgradable. And this was not being correctly actioned, the alarm. So the problem was solved by adding the unaligned. The unaligned is used for when you're querying the data across charts to have an alignment time series and time data that you can see. But in this case, for the alert, this align made the difference, and also the upgrade of the Netdata agent to the version 143, because as I think we shared previously, there was a fix on the else engine to run on tier 0, where there's no aggregation of data. So it's really the raw data points. So these two things kind of fix the thing for the user. Another issue that we saw was about upgrade frequency of cascade parents. So a user had the case that they wanted to they have 3 different independent networks. Each one had a Netdata parent that was collecting metrics from nodes on those networks. And they were forwarding the collected data to a master parent agent, having a dashboard across all the nodes from all the networks, and also acting as centralized alert manager. This was causing some issues on network traffic because this was going above 1 megabyte, so egress Azure Cloud from the Netdata parent on each of the networks to the master parent agent. And even though we did some improvements on the compression, and of course more improvements are being discussed with the Gorilla PR that Costa mentioned, but even for this scenario, the cost was still high. So the user solution was to not have the master parent node, and the traffic stays on on the same networks. It doesn't move. So it has like 3 different parent agents acting as managers for the nodes. We did not pursue this question, but if Netdata Cloud was possible to be a solution for the user, this Netdata Cloud could act as the master parent, because Netdata Cloud, you connect the parents to Netdata Cloud, and then Netdata Cloud acts as that master agent, let's say, master parent dashboard. I think Luis is also sharing the same thing, that there's some issues with Azure and the network traffic that was there. So let's see how this comes up with the Gorilla compression, if we can make improvements on that. So the next one, it was some feedback about a graph missing on the UI around this X509 plugin. So this is related to the changes that were done on the way we present charts. So we no longer present charts by chart instance, we group them by context. And in this case, the charts were grouped by the context, and the display was by default with a group by dimension. And the dimension in this case was the expiry, because it's time until certificate expiration. So the way we did to change this and to have a better visualization by default is to change the default grouping rule. So instead of being by dimension, which is, as we said, the same across all the instances that are inside that context, if we put them by source, you start having the chart by default showing each unique certificate. So it's a kind of a default setting that with the feedback we get from community, we can be tweaking and changing these kind of configurations to make the best experience out of the box for you. And another one was some feedback about the Docker Swarm configuration that we show as kind of commands to deploy and install Netdata. So we had the same command for Docker Swarm and Docker Compose. but it seems this is not the best option, and it's not possible even for locus form. So the instructions are already being reviewed per the feedback. So if this is something you experience, there's reference here on this bug report, and these already confirmed that the changes are working. So yeah, this will be also released soon. So I think this is the last one. So probably just checking if there's any other questions, any other feedback.
Guys, remember that we are going to be in ObservabilityCon in London, 14th and 15th of November. So if you happen to be in London, come from our booth. We would love to discuss.
Yeah, come and visit us.
And another thing, guys, I forgot about for the guys that are interested mainly about the streaming size, is the following. This also was a great idea of Vasilis. Vasilis is the guy that builds the Gorilla compression. So Vasilis said that, you know what, we have quite some metrics that are constant. And we collect the same value and we stream it again. And we collect the same value and we stream it again. So what if, instead of streaming all the values again and again, what if we stream just the list that, okay, all these metrics, whatever it was the last value, that's the value again. That's a nice idea, very nice idea, and probably it can lower the bandwidth significantly because, I don't know, 1/3 of the metrics are constant. One other thing, guys, that you have to know is that Netdata may present, I don't know, a few thousand metrics on a dashboard. Behind the scenes, it reads several more thousands of metrics, but because they are zero, it just ignores them. This does not mean that it ignores them forever. For example, we collect all the PCI AER errors. These are zeros. If you have a physical server, these are zeros. They are not zeros when your physical server has a hardware issue, and only then on the PCI. These metrics, we collect them, but we don't expose charts, we don't do anything. So suddenly a chart will appear, with metrics and alarms and everything if your server has an error. So we have already done a lot of optimizations to reduce the amount of constant metrics, let's say, that we collect. But this is not, the rule there is that if it is zero, it's an error, and it is zero. Okay, let's ignore it for the moment. We continue collecting it. If it becomes non-zero, boom chart, boom alert, everything for you to get notified. But if the value was not zero and it was 5, then this is a problematic decision. Should we ignore it? What? It's 5 and it's constant. What now? So probably there are some ways, according to the quick estimation that we did, probably we can lower significantly the bandwidth required for streaming if we manage to find a way to, push at once all the constant metrics without restreaming the values. Let's see. Okay, guys. So, thank you very much.
That's it for today. Thanks for being here, and look forward to meet you in London on the next office hours as well. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.